Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he is willing to hand over 2 captured North Korean soldiers to Pyongyang in exchange for Ukrainian prisoners of war in Russia. For those North Korean soldiers who do not wish to return, there may be other options available, Zelensky said on X. Those who want to bring peace closer by spreading the truth about this war in Korean will be given that opportunity, he added. The Security Service of Ukraine, SBU, said one of the 2 soldiers told officials he thought he was going to Russia for training rather than to fight. He was found with a Russian military ID card issued in the name of another person. The other soldier had no documents. SBU said the 2 men, who were taken prisoner on 9th January, are in Kiev and receiving medical care. They only speak Korean and are being questioned with the assistance of South Korea's National Intelligence Service. SBU said, Russia has not denied using North Korean troops in its war against Ukraine. President Vladimir Putin said in October that it was his country's sovereign decision whether or not to deploy such troops. On Saturday, Zelensky posted photographs of the 2 captured soldiers, showing one of them with his head and chin in bandage, while the other had both his hands fully wrapped up. Zelensky also shared a photo of a red Russian military ID card that gives the place of birth as Tehran in the Russian Republic of Tuva, which shares a border with Mongolia. SBU said that the soldier found with the ID card told interrogators he had been issued the document during the autumn of 2024 in Russia. According to SBU, he also said that some of North Korea's combat units had undergone a 1-week training at the time. It is noteworthy that the prisoner emphasizes that he was allegedly going for training, not to fight a war against Ukraine, the SBU statement said. Zelensky's office said in a statement on Saturday that the Russians are trying to hide the fact that these are soldiers from North Korea by giving them documents claiming they are from Tuva or other territories under Moscow's control. The intelligence service reported that the soldier carrying the ID card said he was born in 2005 and had been serving North Korea as a rifleman since 2021. The second prisoner is reported to have given some of his answers in writing because he had an injured jaw, according to SBU. SBU said it believed he was born in 1999 and had been serving North Korea as a scout sniper since 2016. The Geneva Conventions state that the questioning of prisoners should be carried out in a language they understand, and prisoners must be protected against public curiosity. BBC News and other international media have not yet verified Ukraine's account of the prisoners and their capture. Ukraine and South Korea reported late last year that North Korea had sent at least 10,000 troops to Russia. South Korea's National Intelligence Service said on Monday that more than 300 North Korean soldiers have died while fighting for Russia, and at least 2,700 of them have been wounded. In December, South Korea's intelligence agency reported that a North Korean soldier, believed to have been the first to be captured while supporting Russia's war in Ukraine, had died after being taken alive by Ukrainian forces. Zelensky said on Sunday, there should be no doubt left that the Russian army is dependent on military assistance from North Korea. As 2024 draws to a close and winter arrives, Russian forces are continuing to push their Ukrainian opponents back. In total, Russia has captured and retaken about 2,350 square kilometers of territory, 907 square miles, in eastern Ukraine and in Russia's western Kursk region, but the cost in lives has been horrendous. Britain's defense ministry says that in November, Russia suffered 45,680 casualties, more than during any month since its full-scale invasion in February 2022. According to the latest UK Defense Intelligence estimate, Russia lost a daily average of 1,523 men killed and wounded. On 28 November, it says, Russia lost more than 2,000 men in a single day the first time this has happened. We're seeing the Russians grinding out more advances, one official said, on condition of anonymity, but at enormous cost. Officials said the casualty figures were based on open-source material, sometimes cross-referenced with classified data. All in all, Russia is estimated to have lost about 125,800 soldiers over the course of its autumn offensives, according to the Washington-based Institute for the Study of War, ISW. Russia's meat grinder tactics, the ISW says, mean that Moscow is losing more than 50 soldiers for each square kilometer of captured territory. Ukraine does not allow publication of its own military casualties, so there are no official estimates covering the last few months. The Russian Defense Ministry says more than 38,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been lost, killed and wounded in Kursk alone, a number that is impossible to verify. Yuri Butusov, a well-connected but controversial Ukrainian war correspondent, says that 70,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been killed since February 2022, with another 35,000 missing. Earlier this week, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky denied U.S. media reports that as many as 80,000 Ukrainian troops had died, saying it was much less. He did not offer his own figure, but taken together, the Russian and Ukrainian casualty figures point to the terrifying intensity of fighting going on in Kursk and Ukraine's eastern regions. Western officials see no sign of this changing. The Russian forces are highly likely to continue to attempt to stretch Ukrainian forces by using mass to overwhelm defensive positions and achieve tactical gains, one said. The pace of Russia's advance has increased in recent weeks, while still nothing like the speed of its rapid advances in the first months of the war, stemmed only by a significant change in the ratio of artillery fire between the two sides. Where once Russia was able to fire as many as 13 shells for every one Ukraine fired back, the ratio is now around 1.5 to 1. This dramatic turnaround is partly explained by increased domestic production, as well as successful Ukrainian attacks on depots containing Russian and North Korean ammunition, but artillery, while important, no longer plays such a decisive role. The bad news is that there's been a massive increase in Russian glide bomb use, one Western official said, with devastating effects on the front line. Russia's use of glide bombs, launched from jets flying well inside Russian-controlled airspace, has increased tenfold over the past year, the official said. Glide bombs and drones have transformed the conflict as each side races to innovate. We're at the point where drone warfare made infantry toothless, if not obsolete. Serhiy, a frontline soldier, told me via WhatsApp. As for manpower, both Ukraine and Russia continue to experience difficulties, but for different reasons. Ukraine has been unwilling to reduce its conscription age below 25, depriving it of all 18 to 24-year-olds, except those who volunteer. Russia, meanwhile, is still able to replace its losses, although President Vladimir Putin's reluctance to conduct a fresh round of mobilization points to a number of domestic considerations. Soaring inflation, overflowing hospitals, and problems with compensation payments to bereaved families are all factors. In some regions of Russia, bonuses offered to volunteers willing to sign up for the war in Ukraine have risen as high as 3 million rubles, about £23,500, $30,000. I'm not suggesting that the Russian economy is on the brink of collapse, the official said. I'm just saying that pressures continue to mount there. Recent events in Syria could add to Moscow's woes, as the Kremlin decides what resources it can afford to devote to its defense of President Bashar al-Assad's regime. But with the situation in Syria developing rapidly, officials say it's too early to know what impact events there will have on the war in Ukraine. There's certainly potentially longer-term prioritization dilemmas for Russia, one official said. It depends how the situation in Syria goes. North Korean soldiers have clashed with Ukrainian troops for the first time, Ukraine's top officials have revealed. In an interview with South Korean broadcaster KBS, Ukrainian Defense Minister Rustem Umerov said a small group of North Korean soldiers were attacked. U.S. officials told the Reuters news agency that North Korean troops were engaged in combat in the Kursk region of Russia on 4 November. Ukraine's leader Volodymyr Zelensky, who had earlier condemned the West's lack of response to the North Korean troops, said these first battles with North Korea open a new chapter of instability in the world. Seoul, however, said it does not believe troops on both sides engaged in direct combat, but that there was an incident involving a small number of North Korean soldiers near the front line. Ukraine says an estimated 11,000 North Korean soldiers were in the Kursk border region, where Ukrainian troops have a foothold. In recent weeks, South Korean and U.S. intelligence, as well as NATO, have said that they have seen evidence of North Korean troops being involved in Russia's war. But Moscow and Pyongyang have so far not responded directly to any of the allegations. Ukraine's top counter-disinformation official, Andriy Kovalenko, first said in a Telegram post on Monday that North Korea's first military units had already come under fire in Kursk. In an interview with South Korean broadcaster KBS, Rustem Umerov confirmed this, saying he expects a significant number of the North Korean troops to be engaged in combat, though he added it was, so far, just small contacts, not full-scale engagement. Most of them are still undergoing training, he added. They're wearing Russian uniforms, they're undergoing tactical training, and they're being deployed under various commands of the Russian army on the front lines, Umerov said. He said it was likely that 5 units, each consisting of around 3,000 soldiers, would be deployed across the battlefield. He did not mention if there were any casualties. In a daily video address on Wednesday, Zelensky called on Ukraine, together with the world, to do everything to make this Russian step toward expanding the war a failure, both for them and for North Korea.